Hey everybody, welcome back to Home Gym Hacks and Reviews, the place where equipment just isn't reviewed, it's also hacked. Today I'll be reviewing the Titan Fitness H-PND. Stay tuned. A few months ago, I made a video called Ranking My 18 Titan Fitness Products, and the H-PND came in the #1 spot. Since then, I've picked up 3 more pieces from Titan, and the H-PND still comes in the #1 spot. A few of my pieces truly stand out as being remarkably well made. The Rogue Rhino, a couple of pieces from PowerTech, and then this Titan Fitness H-PND. But what I find so interesting about Titan is some of their pieces are extremely well made, and then other pieces leave a lot to be desired. For example, if I compare this H-PND to one of my most recent purchases from Titan, the seated stationary bench, the gap in terms of quality between the two pieces is astronomical. But if I compare any one of my PowerTech pieces to any other PowerTech piece, it's basically the same build quality. Same thing with Rogue. I can compare any piece of equipment that I have from Rogue to any other piece of equipment that I have from Rogue, and again, it's the same build quality. With that being said, I would like to see more consistency in Titan's equipment lineup. Most of you watching this probably know the reversehyper was invented by Louis Simmons of Westside Barbell, and while I would love to have an original reversehyper from Westside, it's just not economical for home use. But Louis does endorse 3 from Rogue. Rogue's base model reversehyper, the Z-Hyper, which this is actually a clone of, and the Scout. Shortly after I placed my order for the H-PND, the Scout was released and I immediately had buyer's remorse. I saw that it was officially Westside Barbell, and who doesn't want a Westside Barbell piece in their gym? The Scout is a little less expensive, but after seeing it in action, I'm actually glad that I got this piece instead. While the Scout does have its advantages, mainly that you can fold it up and store it away, I think the H-PND is a much more heavy-duty piece of equipment. It's got a greater weight capacity, and you can load more weight on the weight horns. Louis Simmons patented the term reversehyper. Titan can't call it that, so Titan calls it the H-PND. Next, let's talk about the value of the reversehyper exercise. There are some people who swear by this movement. They'll tell you that this has alleviated their lower back pain and now they can go back to doing normal activities. There are some people who say that this has actually aggravated their lower back, and then there are others who say it's just a big waste of time and it's nothing more than the best table in the gym. Before I made this video, I went to Titan's webpage and Rogue's webpage and I checked out every review that was available, and by and large, most people seem to say that they are in favor of using this machine to help lower back pain and to strengthen muscles in the posterior chain. I also checked out all of the YouTube videos that were available, and there were a lot of people who said they either didn't use it or they sold it. So for example, Basement Brandon, he sold his. So before I was ready to drop a few $100s on a reversehyper or an H-PND, I went ahead and I tried to make my own. Of all of my hacks, I feel like this is one of my better ones. I went ahead and I made a platform to fit into the squat rack, and I used the high-low pulley on the squat rack to connect to and then to add resistance to the movement. If building a platform and putting it in a rack is not an option for you, you can always do this on a Bosu ball, or you could face the opposite direction and do it on a hyperextension bench. And if you are real hard up for reverse hyper, you can do it on the tailgate of a truck. After creating my own reverse hyper, I saw that there was some value in the exercise, and I knew that it was time to go ahead and purchase my own. Initially, I had Rogue's base model reverse hyper in the cart, but after looking at further reviews, I saw that it came on a pallet and it came completely put together, and I needed to put this piece in my upstairs bonus room. So I didn't want to deconstruct a brand new piece of equipment, and then I started looking at Titan's model, and I saw that it had very good reviews. I saw that it came disassembled in 2 boxes, and I went ahead and decided that the Titan model was the model for me. About a week after placing the order, I received 1 of 2 boxes, and then the following day I received the second box. I was impressed with the quality of the packing job. I was impressed with all of the hardware and all of the parts for the H-PND. It took me about an hour and a half to put together by myself. While there are some who say this exercise is not beneficial, and there are others who say that it's potentially problematic, I personally have found it to be very helpful in alleviating lower back pain and strengthening muscles in my posterior chain. When it comes to dealing with lower back pain and other joint issues and other muscular issues, I refer to Dr. Aaron of Squat University, and he addresses the reverse hyper or the hip extension, whatever you want to call it, in this book, Rebuilding Milo. I think this is a great book and I highly recommend it to anyone who is into strength training. But as it relates to the reverse hyper, Dr. Aaron says to be very cautious with the exercise, especially if you're recovering from a lower back injury. If you use this machine incorrectly, it can create shearing forces on the spine. And there are some people who have a back extension intolerance, so this machine could actually aggravate lower back issues. The H-PND comes with that ankle strap, which is so-so quality, but it's held up for me over the last year. Those 2 spring collars. This piece weighs 250 pounds, At the time of this recording, it costs $574. When you take into account taxes, it's right at $600, which is exactly what I paid for it over a year ago. The height is 44.5 inches. The footprint is 52.25 by 41 inches. Each one of those weight horns has 10 inches of loadable space. Luckily, they're stainless steel and 2-inch diameter. It's 3x3, 11 gauge steel, so this thing is made to last. These handles have 8 different settings, and to adjust the handle, you just pull out this pin and pull out this pin and slide it down accordingly. One of the only complaints that I've ever heard about this machine is that these will slide off. I love that there is a laser cut Titan logo in the machine. The pad is pretty durable. I think it's comfortable. The hardware is heavy duty, much more durable and better quality than a lot of Titan's hardware packs. One of the only other complaints that I've ever heard is the sandpaper strips right here will come off. Mine have stayed on. I like that there's some stainless steel weight horns there and rubber stoppers so you don't have your plates resting against metal. You have these heavy duty bearings right here that the arm swings on. If we compare the Deluxe HPND to the Economy sells for $399. It weighs 150 pounds, which is 100 pounds less than the Deluxe. The tubing is 2x2 instead of 3x3. The footprint's about the same. For the Economy, the user weight capacity is 300 pounds and the loading weight capacity is 700 pounds. Interestingly, that information isn't provided for the Deluxe, but you can assume that it's much more. First off, I want to show you how I see a lot of people using this machine, and this is where Dr. Aaron says it becomes problematic. Also, Louis Simmons has said you don't want to see the plates swing back up. So this is what not to do. And while it looks crazy, I see a lot of people doing it that way. Next, I want to show you how I typically use the HPND. This isn't exactly the way that Dr. Aaron says to do so, but this is what works for me. First off, I'm in control of the weight the entire time, especially on the downswing. So I'm controlling it on the way down. And I don't go really any higher than this. Also, I can separate my feet if I want to get greater glute engagement. And Dr. Aaron's recommendation looks like this. So you'll notice that the handles are actually closer to me. I am much more upright and more of my weight is resting on my forearms. There is definitely value in doing one leg at a time as you can start to fix muscular imbalances. You can add bands to this machine, but it's not the easiest thing to do. If you loop a band under that crossbar, that's another option. If you can't get the band underneath that bar, you can secure it to like a heavy dumbbell in front of that bar. I'm sure most of you have seen this by now, but the reversehyper or the HPND can also be used as a leg extension. And for a while, I thought that I could get away with having this as my only leg extension, but that wasn't the case. One leg actually feels better than two. But if you're tight on equipment and you don't have room, this is a pretty good option. You can also use this piece for kickbacks. There are far better ways to do these exercises, but if you're limited on equipment, you can attach the daisy chains to the pendulum and do quite a few exercises. Curls, rows, upright rows. If I had more space and my hand wouldn't hit the wall, I could do a standing Y. I can do tricep kickbacks. I can face the other way and do a pull through. And I can also do a stretch curl. Again, while I don't think this is a phenomenal exercise, if you're limited on equipment, you can do core work on here. This truly is one of the most valuable pieces of equipment that I have. I use it almost on a daily basis, but especially on lower body days, I'll use it before my workout and after my workout. In the end, if you're considering the hpnd or the reversehyper, my advice to you is to find one somewhere and use it a couple of times before you make that purchase, because I don't want you to be someone who gets this piece and regrets it. Thank you all so much for watching. Sometimes it's easy to forget the reach of YouTube, but I want to thank all of my viewers in the US, but I do also have a lot of viewers in the UK, in Canada, in Germany, in India, and in the Netherlands. So thank you all. If you found anything in this video helpful, please consider liking the video. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please consider becoming one. You can find me on Instagram under Home Gym Hacks and Reviews. And remember, if your equipment lacks, I got the hacks. Take care, everyone.